I want to ask you about a very important initiative you've been working on via USAFacts. You started this organization to dig into data, and you've been digging into data about the coronavirus, whether it's hospital beds or the number of students on free lunch across the country. You're releasing a slew of new facts today. Talk to us about what the data is telling you and surprising trends that you are seeing.
Yeah, let me share a little bit. As you mentioned, we started USAFacts, focusing on taking government data and publishing it. Obviously, the topic of the day is corona. And one of the things that I find fascinating is how hard it has been to really surface and bring together data about the disease all the way down to the county level. We have essentially been sourcing data not only from the CDC, but from county health departments, bringing it together and publishing it on a county by county basis. We've actually had inquiries from over 20 different government agencies, including the CDC itself, for this amalgamated view of the information. I think it's a thing that points to the importance of really integrated government data telling us a story.
So then what story is the data telling you? We've all been overwhelmed by facts about the curve and rising numbers of cases. In your estimation, from what you can see, how much worse is this outbreak going to get?
Well, that would imply I'm some kind of forecaster. We don't do that in general, and specifically in this area, I wouldn't do it. If you take a look, though, on a county basis on what's going on, you certainly continue to see counties in which the rise of new cases continues at almost an exponential level. In King County, Washington, where I live, which was the epicenter of the outbreak, we've actually started to see a gradual, if you will, flattening out of the curve, which leads me to believe I can have some optimism. Not that people aren't going to suffer gravely from this disease, but perhaps there's light at the end of the tunnel here, more similar to what people saw in South Korea and China than what people are seeing in Italy. But you can look at the county data and get a sense that with the right precautions and work, there's opportunity for progress.
You're also looking at the industries that'll be hardest hit, whether it's the airlines or hospitality, restaurants, food services, the food service business. Where do you think we're going to see the biggest brunt of this economically?
Well, I want to highlight food service. Over 8% of people employed in America actually work in the food service industry. And by that, I mean restaurants, bars. We're not just talking food development, food growing, food distribution, but actually food service, 8% of the population. And while it's not that big a share of GDP, and people normally look at the GDP numbers, from an employment perspective, where I think the rubber will meet the road in terms of how well people live. People have to keep their jobs. People have to have sick leave. Obviously, with the new Senate deal that was approved yesterday, there's certainly government relief coming. And we're diving into that and bringing together on USAFacts the relevant data. But if you just take a look at that food sector, 8% of all jobs, these are low-paying jobs, typically without sick leave. It's a very scary economic proposition.